Welcome back. You watch Your Morning Live. Thank you for staying with us. Now, our guest writer this morning is an educational and training practitioner, motivational speaker, and now an author of a book titled I Am, a moving story of a gem from ELDORADO Park. In this inspirational debut read, Charmaine Slade takes the reader on her life journey in hopes of inspiring them to not let the pain they endured growing up deter them from telling a powerful and impactful life story. Chamaine joins me now in studio. Chamaine, without that intro, good morning, welcome to Morning Live. Give us just a quick synopsis of your book.
Okay, basically my book is about me growing up in ELDORADO Park, but it's also more about saying, listen, get inspired from the place that you grew up in, learn from those lessons, and how I apply those lessons to take me to the corporate world and obviously overcome everything that, you know, the stigma from coming from a township is about, yeah.
What were some of those challenges you had to overcome, and what were the lessons that you learned from those challenges?
Okay. You know, one of the first challenges is obviously the stereotyping, yes, and coming from a place like where I grew up from. You know, I'm a girl from the Kasi, right? So they say that the Kasi never goes out of you. So what happened is that people, the minute you walk in and they hear from you from that area, they expect you to talk a certain way, look a certain way, and say certain things. So it was a lot about the racialism, stereotyping, and also about being surrounded by poverty and see what those type of lifestyle entailed. And tell yourself, I need to better myself. I need to not let people stigmatize me, or people, you know, like not live up to whatever perceptions there are there of people that comes from the township.
When it comes to breaking that stereotypes, because it's easy for people perceive you one way, but it's very important that you don't perceive yourself the same way.
Yes.
What was their home environment like? What was your parents like? What was that system like?
Okay, you know, we grew up in my father, I always said, we grew up very religious, and he was very strict, and you couldn't stand at a kite because, you know, good girls don't do that. Yeah, so we grew up in that type of environment, and also we were, and fun enough, we were never told about people will stereotype you, or this is what's happening and so on. So I'm very blessed to come from an environment where we were always encouraged to do better, to seek education and things like that. But when you're outside there, you don't know the survival tools. So the good thing about it is, though, because you end up being street smart and being surrounded there, so when you come into the real world, I use those street smarts.
When did you discover, after leaving your home and obviously now going into the real world, as you say, that where you came from and who you were, that you were being marginalized?
Man, the first day I walked in for an interview, I went to, not even the first day I walked in, when I started varsity, I went to varsities in the 80s, and I was one of the first 8 students at that time all-white university. Today it stands as UJ. That time it was still Rand Afrikaans University. And obviously I couldn't speak as well Afrikaans as those people that were attending there. And the minute I walked into the class, you know, all the students would move to the back because they were scared that, like, you know, they don't sit next to a black person. So then I realized, okay, something is not right here. And, you know, from there the discrimination started. And the day when I went for my first interview at my job, this lady said straight, I couldn't care how many degrees this person is, how educated she is. There's no way a black person, actually she used the other word, right, which I wouldn't mention on TV, will sit next to us in the office. So they put me on the floor to work on you know, to pack books in this floor, because my first job was at a book outlet.
So you were at home. When did you decide that you wanted to tell your story and that it could be an inspiration to maybe others? No, men and women?
Men and women. Okay, what happened is that I'm a person, I'm fortunately enough now as a training practitioner to travel the world a lot. And every time I speak to young people about, you know, skills development, careers, and where they should go, and, you know, to do the motivational thing, I realized our children doesn't know, you know, our history and how we grew up. And even the way some people perceive me, especially when I go into the rural areas and so on. Then I said, I need to tell my story because there's so many people that are so, like, you know, still worried about where they're coming from. and how people perceive them. And I have people telling me, but you know, black people don't go into this type of career. And I'm like, who told you that? I'm black and here I am, and this is what I'm doing for a living. And I know where you're coming from. I know everything about being poor, coming from an environment that is not perceived conducive for where you're going to. So then I decided, let me tell my story. And also a lot of people encourage me to say, tell your story, because when you speak out there, we would like you to, we like to know more.
When you sat down and you penned your life story and you had to reflect, and obviously you are obviously also engaging with family members, talking to them, was there something about your life that you went, wow, I forgot that, or wow, I haven't thought about that in a very long time?
You know, the first thing, when I first spoke to, I think I went to my aunts and so on, and I spoke to about, you know, I want to, the first episode must really be about purpose. And they told me, like, my dad told me my grandmother was actually Dingy's Ohio, you know, like that's how the whole mix came up, being as in black and white, got married, and and that was like, wow, I forgot about it. And the first time, when I was young, at that time we belonged to the UDF, and Don Matera came to speak to us, and he told us about Sophia Town and, you know, Kofifi and those type of places, and how it came about that, you know, colored people were staying in Eldorado Park and some people in Soweto and so on. And I thought, I forgot about it. Somebody needs to know, our kids needs to know that. I need to put it down again in my book, even if Don Matera put it down in his book as well, as Memories is My Weapon, or, yeah, you understand. So that's where I realized it. You know, it was those wow moments. And right through the book, it was those wow moments, you know, when you reflect back. And some of the things were painful, and I didn't know how to pin it down. But look, it's there, out there now, and the story gets told.
Very, very quickly, a final question. What do you want the reader to walk away from, apart from being inspired? But you want them to have a sense of purpose?
Yes, and I wanted to resonate. Just 1 minute to say to you, I gave the book to one of the guys in America, right? A speaker came. And you know, he inboxed me and said to me, did you watch the movie Boys in the Hood? I said to him, yeah. And he said, you know, when I read through your book, I could understand, because the environment that you describe is the scenes of boys in the hood. And that's what I wanted. You know, that whether you're from America or from South Africa or whatever, something must resonate with you. You must take something with you that's also inspire you.
Charmaine Slade, thank you very much. She's an educational training practitioner, motivational speaker, and author, speaking to us about her latest inspirational offering titled, I Am a Moving Story of a Gem from Eldorado Park. A read that will inspire you and also maybe give you some purpose to your life. Time for us to welcome our first music guest. He goes